one of the things that I hear a lot in the community is this idea that like people are running from hell and not running to Jannah. Like they genuinely don't believe that they will go to Jannah. And at dinner the other night, after a lecture that my masjid put on, one of the girls there, she was like, is this a thing that like reverts just believe they're going to go to Jannah? Like, how is it so easy for y'all? And she said it because there was me, obviously, at the table. And then there was the gentleman sitting across from me who is, he's a sheikh, he's a doctor who got his degree in like Islamic studies, who reverted in 2006. And like, it was really interesting for me because like at this table, there was like such an amazing demographic of people. There were like, I think three reverts that all had amazing stories. One of them, again, having their doctorate, their PhD in Islamic studies, who was a revert. And then we had like a relatively wide array of lifelong Muslims that were young, right? Some as young as 20, and then some as like young, but as old as like in the late 30s, early 40s. But one of the things that I hear a lot in the Muslim community is just that like, I need you to pray for me so that I can go to Jannah, or like, let me help you so that when you go to Jannah, Jackie, you can speak on my behalf, as if people just don't believe that they have an inherent ability to get there on their own. And so I would like to talk tonight about one of the surahs that I really feel like just solidifies this for me. Like, this isn't me being a revert, having faith that I will go to Jannah. This is me reading the Quran and finding how easy it is to just trust that that is where I will be. Surah Al-Ankabut, the spider. It's going to be 5, 7, and 9. 5. Whoever hopes for the meeting with Allah, let them know that Allah's appointed time is sure to come. He is the all-hearing, all-knowing. 7. As for those who believe and do good, we will certainly absolve them of their sins and reward them according to the best of what they used to do. 9. Those who believe and do good will surely be admitted by us into the company of the righteous. And then again in 58. As for those who believe and do good, we will certainly house them in the elevated mansions in paradise, under which rivers flow, to stay there forever. How excellent is the reward for those who work righteousness, those who patiently endure and put their trust in the Lord. How many are the creatures that cannot secure their provisions? It is Allah who provides for them, and you as well. He is indeed the all-hearing, all-knowing. And then they complete out the surah with 69. As for those who struggle in our cause, we will surely guide them along our way, and Allah is certainly with the good doers. You know, when I first became a revert, a friend of mine and I were talking about how, like, it's interesting how I perceive Eeman, because I perceive Eeman as if it's like its own thing. And I perceive the 5 pillars of Islam as the structure that like gets put around your Eeman to protect it. And he kind of like sat there in shock, and he was like, that oddly made sense to him. Granted, he's an architect, so like I put it into terms that he could understand that like my Eeman feels like a person, and the 5 pillars of Islam feel like the house, right? But it feels like, to me, reverts, we are drawn to the Quran. We are drawn to Allah because our Eeman leads us. Like, it pulls us like a tether towards our Creator. And then when we're brought in, we learn the foundation, we learn the 5 pillars, and we start to build the structure that is there to protect our Eeman. And I think that's why it is so difficult, right? Because for a revert, our Eeman is very spiritual. It's very just, it's pure faith. It's just this abject knowledge that Allah is real, and that Allah provides, and that they are the creator of all things. And so to put structure around it initially feels constricting. And I think that's why it is really difficult for some of us. Like, I know a lot of reverts who, like, prayer is really difficult when you have to learn the 5 prayers a very specific kind of way. Because prayer, for instance, I'll use me. Prayer for me used to just be, like, so simple. Like, I would be almost in constant remembrance of Allah and not know it. And it was just like I was in constant communication. I had a very two-way conversation relationship. And so learning the 5 prayers feels restrictive until you learn about the beauty of ritualization in strengthening the bond of your Eeman with Allah. And I can only imagine how difficult it must be to be Muslim, in that you have built your whole life around the pillars, right? You've built your whole life around your house and your structure and knowing the ritualization of the relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But now your responsibility is building your Eeman, right? Your goal throughout your life is not to build the structure that protects your Eeman, because you have been raised in a world in which your structure is firm. Your journey, your path is actually learning how to cultivate the spirituality of the relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so whereas for those of us who are deeply spiritual, who have to build the foundation and the ritual, and how that can feel very stifling at first, for those who already have the structure, learning to lean into the freedom and the trust and the guidance and the spirituality of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can feel probably a little tenuous, a little unmoored, a little unsecure. And I do think this is why it is so desperately important that we have people who are reverts in the same communities as people who have been lifelong Muslims. Because there is a beautiful relationship there that when it comes together, it creates a tapestry of people whose faith can move mountains, whose faith can end atrocity, whose faith can fix the world. Anyway, that's my thoughts for tonight.